Captain Lisa Mitchell stood on the bridge of the Earth exploration vessel Horizon, her eyes fixed on the viewscreen. Stars stretched before her like diamonds scattered across black velvet. The ship hummed quietly around her as they traveled through an uncharted region of space. "Captain, we're picking up unusual energy readings from the fourth planet in the nearby system," said Communications Officer Greg Nelson. His fingers danced across his console as he refined the scan. Lisa leaned forward. Her interest piqued. "What kind of readings?" "Unknown, ma'am, but they're definitely artificial, too regular to be natural." She nodded, a familiar excitement building in her chest. This was why she had joined the Earth Exploration Initiative, for moments like this. "Plot a course, Lieutenant Kelly. Let's take a closer look." The Horizon changed direction, its engines glowing blue against the darkness of space. Lisa had commanded the vessel for 3 years, leading scientific missions to expand humanity's understanding of the universe. Her crew of 50 was the best Earth had to offer, scientists, engineers, and military personnel working together to push the boundaries of known space. 2 days later, the Horizon entered orbit around a blue-green world. The planet was slightly larger than Earth, with 2 small moons and vast oceans. But what truly caught their attention were the cities, gleaming metropolises that curved organically with the landscape rather than imposing upon it. "Definitely not natural," muttered Science Officer Paul Green. "Those are massive population centers. Whoever built them has technology at least equal to ours, possibly more advanced." "Are they detecting us?" Lisa asked. Before anyone could answer, the communication system activated on its own. A melodic voice filled the bridge, speaking in an unknown language that somehow shifted into English as they listened. "Visitors from Earth, we welcome you to Valora Prime. We have been hoping you would find us." Lisa exchanged surprised glances with her officers. "How do they know we're from Earth?" she whispered. The voice continued. "We invite you to our coordinates for peaceful contact. We have much to discuss." After a brief conference with her senior staff, Lisa decided to accept the invitation. She led a small team, including security, Chief Dan Miller and Science Officer Paul Green, to the surface in one of the ship's shuttles. They landed in an open plaza surrounded by graceful towers that seemed to be made of living crystal. Waiting for them was a delegation of tall humanoid beings with silver blue skin and large expressive eyes. They wore simple clothing that shimmered with changing colors. One stepped forward, raising a 4-fingered hand in greeting. "Captain Mitchell, I am Ambassador Shaylara. We are the Valorans. We have observed your world for some time." Lisa tried to hide her shock. "How do you know my name?" Shaylara smiled gently. "My people have limited telepathic abilities. We can sense surface thoughts and basic information when in close proximity. We mean no intrusion." Over the next few days, Lisa and her crew learned about the Valorans. They were an ancient species, peaceful and focused on scientific and spiritual development. Their technology was based on principles humans had only begun to theorize about, manipulating quantum fields and biological integration with machines. On the 3rd day, Shaylara took Lisa to a private chamber deep within the main government building. The walls were covered with star maps far more detailed than anything Earth possessed. "There is something important we must share with you," Shaylara said, her expression grave. "We sought contact with Earth for a specific reason. We believe your people possess qualities that may save both our civilizations." She activated a holographic display showing hundreds of star systems. Many were highlighted in red. "For the past century, we have been monitoring an organization known as the Galactic Council. They present themselves as a benevolent coalition of advanced species, bringing order to the galaxy. The reality is far darker." Shaylara touched one of the red systems, and images appeared of worlds being systematically destroyed. "The Council has a specific vision for galactic evolution. Species that do not conform to their ideals are given a choice: assimilation or extinction. They believe they are guiding life toward some perfect form, eliminating evolutionary dead ends." Lisa felt a chill run through her. "And they consider the Valorans A deviation, Shaylara confirmed. Our telepathic abilities and our philosophy of non-interference make us unsuitable for their vision. We have remained hidden, but our predictive models suggest they will find us soon. What about humans? Lisa asked. Humans are unique. Your adaptability, your creativity in crisis, your determination, these qualities are rare. Most importantly, you developed without any outside influence. The Council sees such independent evolution as dangerous, but we see it as precious. Lisa absorbed this information slowly. Why contact us now? Because together, we might have a chance. Alone, both our peoples will fall. Shailara's eyes held Lisa's. Will you help us prepare? Will Earth stand with Valora? When Lisa returned to Earth 2 weeks later, she brought Ambassador Shaylara with her. The news of first contact with an advanced alien civilization created a global sensation. The United Earth government convened an emergency session to hear their report. Admiral William Carter, head of Earth's defense forces, listened with growing concern as Lisa and Shaylara explained the threat of the Galactic Council. You're asking us to prepare for a war with an enemy we've never seen, using technology we barely understand, he said when they finished. I'm asking you to prepare to defend yourselves, Shaylara replied. The Council will find Earth eventually, with or without our contact. Together we have a better chance. President Susan Miller studied the Valoran ambassador thoughtfully. What exactly are you proposing? An alliance. We offer our knowledge and technology. You offer your strategic thinking and industrial capacity. Together, we prepare. As the government debated, Intelligence Officer Jack Barnes discovered something disturbing. Working late in his office at Earth Defense Headquarters, he intercepted unusual transmissions from the edge of the solar system. The patterns matched nothing in Earth's databases, but when he showed them to Shaylara, her face paled. These are Council communication protocols, she whispered. They found us sooner than we predicted. Jack immediately reported to Admiral Carter, who ordered increased patrols throughout the system. How much time do we have? He asked Shaylara. The Valoran's expression was grim. Not enough, but perhaps enough to begin. As Earth and Valora raced to prepare, neither realized just how little time remained before the storm would break upon them both. 6 months passed quickly. Earth and Valora established formal relations, with small diplomatic fleets traveling between the two worlds. Earth scientists worked alongside Valoran experts, learning about their advanced technology while sharing humanity's unique approach to engineering and warfare. Dr. Ellen Wright led a research team aboard the diplomatic vessel Unity. A brilliant scientist with a gift for understanding alien technology, Ellen had been among the first humans chosen to visit Valora Prime. She found their quantum communications particularly fascinating. It allowed instant messaging across vast distances without any detectable signals that could be intercepted. Unity orbited Valora Prime alongside 3 other Earthships. Captain Peter Nash commanded their small fleet, maintaining regular contact with Earth while the diplomatic mission continued its work. Ellen was in her lab studying a Valoran energy converter when the alarms began to sound. She rushed to the bridge, arriving just as Peter was receiving an urgent message from Valoran Defense Command. Unknown vessels have appeared at the edge of our system, said the Valoran officer, his silver-blue face tight with worry. They match no known configuration, but they are heavily armed. Peter ordered immediate battle stations. Through the viewscreen, Ellen watched as dozens of massive ships emerged from what looked like tiers in space itself. They were unlike anything she had ever seen. Dark, angular vessels with what appeared to be biological components fused to their metal hulls. Those are Council ships, said a voice behind her. Ambassador Shaylara had just arrived on the bridge, her normally calm demeanor replaced by fear. They've found us sooner than we expected. Before anyone could respond, the Council fleet opened fire. Green energy beams lanced across space, striking Valora's orbital defenses. The smaller Valoran ships moved to intercept, but they were clearly outmatched. We need to help them, Ellen said. Peter hesitated. We have no authorization to engage in combat. Our ships aren't even properly armed for this kind of fight. A nearby explosion rocked the Unity. One of the Valoran defense platforms had been destroyed, debris scattering across space. "We can't just watch them die," said Security Chief Alan Ross, his hand resting on his sidearm as if he could somehow fight the massive fleet himself. Peter made his decision. "Contact the other Earth ships. We'll help evacuate as many Valorans as we can. This isn't our war yet, but we won't abandon our allies." The Earth vessels moved toward Valora Prime's surface, dodging energy beams and debris. On the planet below, cities were already burning as Council dropships deployed ground forces. The Valorans fought bravely, but they were a peaceful species facing an enemy built for war. Ellen joined Alan and a security team on a shuttle to the surface. They landed near the central government building in Valora's capital city. Bodies of Valorans littered the streets, civilians who had no chance against the Council's weapons. "We need to find the Valoran scientific archives," Ellen told Alan as they moved through the burning city. "They contain too much valuable information to lose." They found a group of Valoran scientists and government officials barricaded in an underground facility. Ambassador Shalar's assistant Talon was coordinating their defense. "The Council is systematically destroying our cities," he told Ellen. "This is not just conquest. They intend to eradicate our species." Alan organized the evacuation while Ellen helped Talon download the Valoran scientific database. As they worked, they intercepted Council communications. Ellen didn't understand the language, but the Valorans did. "They're targeting all our colonies," Talon said, his voice breaking. "Everywhere Valorans exist in the galaxy, they're being destroyed. Billions of my people will die today." With the data secured and as many survivors as they could find, they returned to the shuttles. The journey back to the Unity was treacherous, with Council fighters swarming the skies. Alan's quick thinking and piloting skills got them through, but two other shuttles weren't so lucky. Back aboard the Unity, Captain Nash had made contact with Earth. Admiral Carter's face was grim on the view screen. "Get out of there now, Peter." "That's a direct order. We need to know what we're facing." "Sir, there are still thousands of Valorans who need evacuation," Peter argued, "and billions who will need vengeance if Earth falls too," Carter replied. "We need your data and the Valoran survivors. You've done all you can there." As the Earth ships prepared to depart, Ellen watched the destruction of Valora Prime with tears in her eyes. The beautiful crystal cities were reduced to rubble. Council ships methodically bombarded population centers, while others began drilling into the planet's crust. "What are they doing?" she asked Talon. "They're placing devices that will destabilize our planet's core," he explained, his voice hollow. "In a few days, Valora Prime will tear itself apart. They don't just kill us, they erase any evidence we ever existed." The Earth ships jumped to faster-than-light travel just as a massive Council dreadnought turned its weapons toward them. Ellen felt sick as she thought of the civilization being erased behind them. During the journey back to Earth, distress calls from Valoran colonies throughout the sector flooded their communications. The massacre was happening everywhere simultaneously, a coordinated genocide. Back on Earth, the United Earth government convened an emergency session. Ellen, Alan, and the other survivors presented their evidence of the Council's attack. President Susan Miller listened in horror to the reports and viewed footage of the destruction. "Could this happen to Earth?" she asked. Admiral Carter nodded gravely. "The Council's technology is far beyond ours. If they choose to attack, our current defenses would be insufficient." Talon stepped forward. "The Council will come for Earth next, not because of your connection to us, but because humanity represents exactly what they fear. Independent evolution that doesn't follow their plan." The debate was fierce. Some officials argued for trying to contact the Council diplomatically. Others suggested hiding, developing technology to mask Earth's presence in the galaxy. The discussion ended when the final transmissions from Valora Prime arrived. They showed the planet breaking apart, its core destabilized by Council weapons. President Miller stood, her decision made. "Humanity will not hide and we will not surrender. Admiral Carter, I'm authorizing full military mobilization. Implement Project Thunderbolt." A murmur ran through the room. Project Thunderbolt was a classified weapons development program started after the first analysis of Valoran technology. "We have one advantage," Ellen said. "The Council doesn't know how humans fight when our backs are against the wall." As the meeting ended, Ellen looked at the surviving Valorans. Their world was gone, their civilization scattered to the stars. But in their eyes, she saw something new growing alongside their grief, a determination for justice. The war had begun, and Earth would not let the Valorans' sacrifice be in vain. 1 year passed since the destruction of Valora Prime. The galaxy had changed. The Galactic Council controlled most of the major systems, hunting down the last Valoran survivors. But they had not yet attacked Earth directly. They were busy with their conquest of former Valoran territories, giving humanity precious time to prepare. Commander Kevin Daniels stood on the bridge of the Defiant, a retrofitted Earth cargo ship now serving as a guerrilla warship. His fleet consisted of 15 vessels hidden in an asteroid field near what was once a thriving Valoran mining colony. Some were Earth ships, others salvaged Valoran vessels. All were crewed by a mix of humans and Valoran refugees. "Status report," Kevin said, studying the tactical display. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Olivia Clark, looked up from her console. "Council supply convoy detected on schedule. 6 transport ships, 2 escort frigates." Kevin nodded. "Perfect. Prepare for attack pattern Delta. Let's hit them hard and fast." The Defiant and 2 other ships powered up their engines. Kevin had been leading these hit-and-run operations for months. They couldn't defeat the Council in direct battle, but they could disrupt their supply lines and gather intelligence. "Remember, priority is capturing their communication modules intact," Kevin reminded his crew. "Earth defense needs them for research." The battle was brief but intense. The Council escorts were caught off guard by the smaller, more agile Earth vessels. Within 20 minutes, 2 transport ships were disabled, their valuable cargo and technology seized. The rest of the convoy scattered, jumping away to safety. "Minimal damage to our ships," Olivia reported as they retreated to their hidden base, "and we got what we came for." Back at the asteroid base, Valoran scientist Talon waited eagerly for their return. Once Ambassador Shaylara's assistant, he now led the joint research team studying Council technology. The tall Valoran's silver-blue skin had dulled from stress and grief, but his eyes still burned with determination. "Did you get it?" he asked as Kevin and Olivia entered the lab carrying a large metal container. "Council quantum communications array as requested," Kevin said with a grin. "Still intact." Talon immediately began examining the device with Olivia. Since Earth and Valora joined forces, Olivia had proven to be an exceptional engineer, able to adapt and improve upon alien technology in ways no one expected. "This might be it," Talon said after several hours of study. "All Council ships use the same quantum frequency for their communications. If we can isolate it, we could potentially disrupt their entire network," Olivia finished, excitement in her voice. "It would be like cutting off all their ships from Central Command at once." Kevin watched them work, hope growing in his chest for the first time in months. Their resistance had been effective but limited. They needed a game-changer if they were ever going to push back against the Council's overwhelming numbers. Meanwhile, on a distant Valoran colony now under Council control, former Earth Marine Ryan Foster watched from hiding as alien soldiers patrolled the streets. Ryan led a small resistance cell gathering intelligence on Council operations. His team included both humans from the diplomatic mission and Valorans who had escaped the initial purge. "They're bringing in more prisoners," whispered Mara, a young Valoran woman who had lost her entire family in the attack on Valora Prime. "Third transport this week," Ryan observed through binoculars as Council guards unloaded captured Valorans from a transport ship. "They're not just killing them anymore, they're taking them somewhere." For weeks, Ryan's team had noted this change in Council tactics. Instead of immediate execution, many Valorans were being processed and shipped off-world. That night, Ryan and his team infiltrated the Council's command post. While Mara and 2 others created a distraction, Ryan and a former Earth security officer named Ben Harris broke into the main computer system. Got something, Ben said, downloading data to their portable device. Looks like medical records. Experiments? Ryan glanced at the information, his stomach turning. They're not just conquering, they're studying Valorans, taking samples, running tests. A loud explosion rocked the building. Their distraction had worked too well. Time to go, Ryan said, grabbing the data device. They barely escaped, losing 2 team members in the process. Back at their hidden base, Ryan analyzed what they had stolen. It's worse than we thought, he told his remaining team. The Council isn't just eliminating the Valorans because they're different. They're after something specific. The data revealed that Valorans possessed a unique genetic trait that made them immune to a disease slowly killing many Council species. The Council planned to harvest this trait while eliminating potential competitors like humans. We need to get this information to Commander Daniels, Ryan said. The Resistance needs to know what they're really after. Using a modified Valoran communication device, they transmitted the data in a brief encoded burst. Moments later, Council ships appeared in the sky above their location. They tracked the transmission, Ben said, grabbing his weapon. Everyone, out now, Ryan ordered, but it was too late. Council ground forces surrounded their base. In the chaos that followed, Ryan ordered his team to split up. Some escaped into the wilderness, but Ryan and several others were captured. Ryan found himself in a sterile white room strapped to an examination table. A tall gray-skinned alien entered, flanked by guards. Unlike the Council soldiers Ryan had encountered before, this one moved with authority and studied Ryan with cold intelligence. I am Executor Vexaran, the alien said in perfect English. You've caused us considerable trouble, human. Ryan remained silent, assessing his captor. Vexaran seemed different from other Council members, more calculating, less driven by the zealotry that characterized their military. Your resistance is pointless, Vexaran continued. We have located your homeworld. Earth will join Valora Prime soon enough. Ryan couldn't hide his shock. How? Did you think we wouldn't notice your ships? Your attacks? Vexaran laughed, a dry sound like rustling leaves. We have been tracking you, learning your patterns. Earth will face our judgment within days. Back at the asteroid base, Kevin received Ryan's data transmission just before it was cut off. The information confirmed their worst fears, but also provided crucial insight into Council biology and technology. We need to warn Earth immediately, Kevin said. If the Council has found our location. Before he could finish, alarms blared throughout the base. Sensors detected multiple ships exiting faster than light travel nearby. Council dreadnoughts, Olivia reported, her face pale. At least 5 of them. They found us. Kevin made a quick decision. Evacuate the base. All ships prepare for emergency jump to Earth. We need to get there before the Council fleet. As his crew rushed to obey, Kevin looked at Talon and Olivia. What about your work on the communication array? It's not ready, Talon said. But we've made progress. With Earth's resources, we might complete it in time. Kevin nodded grimly. Then let's make sure Earth gets that chance. The Resistance fleet scattered, each ship taking a different route to avoid capture. As the Defiant prepared to jump, Kevin watched Council ships begin bombarding the asteroid base. Everything they had built over the past year was being destroyed, but they had something more valuable: knowledge of the enemy's plans and a potential weakness to exploit. Now they just had to reach Earth before the Council did. Admiral William Carter stood in Earth's Defense Command Center, looking at the massive holographic display of the solar system. Red dots appeared at the edge of the display, Council ships arriving in greater numbers than anyone had anticipated. Status. Report, he ordered, his voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. 57 Council vessels detected so far, sir, replied the sensor officer, including 3 dreadnoughts larger than anything we've encountered before. Carter nodded grimly. Earth had spent the past year preparing for this moment. Orbital defense platforms circled the planet, hastily upgraded with Valoran technology. The combined Earth fleet, nearly 200 ships of various sizes, moved into defensive positions, but everyone in the command center knew it wouldn't be enough. Admiral, "We're receiving a transmission from the Defiant," said Communications. "Officer Josh Baker. Commander Daniels is requesting emergency clearance to approach." "Granted immediately," Carter ordered. Kevin Daniels and his resistance fleet had been Earth's eyes and ears in Council territory. If they were returning now, it must be important. The Defiant and 5 other ships from the resistance fleet arrived, bearing battle damage from their narrow escape. Commander Daniels was immediately escorted to Defense Command. "They found our base," Kevin reported, still in his flight suit. "We barely got out, but we have critical information." He quickly explained what Ryan Foster's team had discovered about the Council's true motives and the potential weakness in their quantum communications. "Engineer Olivia Clark and Talon believe we can develop a virus to disrupt their systems," Kevin said. "But we need more time." Carter considered this. "Time is exactly what we don't have. The Council fleet will be in attack range within hours. Then, we need a new strategy," said Dr. Ellen Wright, who had joined them at the command table. In the years since the Valoran Prime massacre, Ellen had led the Earth Valoran technology integration team. "What if we give them a target they can't ignore? Draw them into a trap?" Carter raised an eyebrow. "What do you have in mind?" Ellen pulled up schematics on the display. "Project Thunderbolt. The Defiance-class warships are ready." The room fell silent. Project Thunderbolt had been Earth's most closely guarded secret. A fleet of advanced warships built with hybrid human and Valoran technology. Only 6 had been completed so far, but each represented a quantum leap beyond anything Earth had previously deployed. "They're untested in actual combat," Carter warned. "So is every new weapon until it's used," Ellen replied, "and we may not get another chance." After a brief discussion, Carter agreed. "Prepare the Defiance fleet for deployment, but we still need a way to target their communications." Ellen turned to Security Chief Alan Ross, who had been working with her since their escape from Valoran Prime. "We need a small team to infiltrate the Council flagship and upload the virus directly into their network." Alan nodded. "I'll lead it myself." "This is a suicide mission," Kevin warned. "Maybe," Alan admitted. "But if it works, it gives Earth a fighting chance." While Earth prepared for battle, Ellen, Olivia, and Talon raced to complete the virus. They worked in a secure lab deep beneath Defense Command, analyzing the Council communication array captured by Kevin's team. "Their quantum network is incredibly advanced," Olivia said, her eyes red from lack of sleep. "But it has one weakness. It requires perfect synchronization across all ships. If we can introduce a cascading error, it would spread through their entire fleet like a disease," Talon finished. "Disrupting ship-to-ship coordination." Ellen worked on the delivery system, a specialized data core that could interface with Council technology. The tricky part will be getting this to their main communication hub without being detected. As dawn broke over Earth, the Council fleet moved into attack position. Executor Valoran stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the human defense. Preparations with mild interest. "They've arranged their ships in a standard defensive formation," he observed. "Primitive, but not entirely without merit." His second-in-command approached. "The human prisoner has been prepared for questioning." "Executor." Valoran nodded and made his way to the interrogation chamber where Ryan Foster was being held. The human looked weaker than when he was captured, but his eyes still showed defiance. "Your homeworld will fall today," Valoran told him. "But you can still save yourself. Tell me about Earth's defenses, and I may spare you to witness the new order we will create." Ryan laughed, a harsh sound. "You don't understand humans at all if you think that's tempting." Valoran studied him curiously. "You would die for a principle? How inefficient." "We're full of surprises," Ryan replied. On Earth, Captain Samantha Hayes took command of the Defiance, the lead ship of the new fleet. She had been selected for her tactical brilliance and adaptability, qualities that had become even more valuable in the war against the Council. "All systems online," reported her first officer, Ben Lee. "Thunderbolt generators at full capacity." Samantha nodded, feeling the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. Prepare to deploy on Admiral Carter's command. Meanwhile, Ellen made final adjustments to the virus. It's ready, she told Alan, handing him the data core. Once you reach their central hub, just connect this to any council terminal. It will do the rest. Alan's infiltration team consisted of 6 members, 3 humans and 3 Valorans seeking vengeance for their destroyed homeworld. They boarded a modified shuttle designed to mimic council energy signatures. We'll launch during the initial engagement, Alan explained to his team. With luck, they'll be too focused on the main battle to notice us. Admiral Carter addressed the combined Earth fleet one last time. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for all species who value freedom over conformity. The Council believes their way is the only path for life in this galaxy. Today we prove them wrong. As the Council fleet approached Earth's orbit, Carter put his plan into motion. The Earth fleet began a calculated retreat, appearing to abandon the orbital defense platforms. It was a deliberately obvious ploy, one the Council would recognize as a trap, but not the real trap they were setting. They're taking the bait, Kevin reported from his monitoring station. Council fleet is adjusting formation to counter our apparent strategy. Carter nodded. Now, Captain Hayes. The 6 Defiance-class warships emerged from hiding behind Earth's moon, their advanced engines flaring to life. They moved with a speed and agility that surprised even the Council sensors. What are those vessels? Vexarin demanded, returning to his flagship's bridge upon seeing the new threat. Unknown configuration, his officer replied. They appear to be using modified Valoran drive systems, but the weapon signatures are unfamiliar. Destroy them, Vexarin ordered. All ships priority target. As the Council fleet turned to engage the new threat, Alan's shuttle slipped through the chaos, heading directly for Vexarin's flagship. The battle for Earth had begun. The space around Earth erupted into chaos. Energy beams crisscrossed the darkness as Council ships and Earth vessels exchanged fire. The 6 Defiance-class warships moved with incredible speed, targeting Council ships with precision. They're faster than expected, Vexarin noted with mild surprise. Redirect half our fleet to engage them. On the Defiance, Captain Samantha Hayes watched her tactical display as Council ships moved to intercept them. They took the bait, she said. Execute. Phase 2. The Defiance and her sister ships suddenly changed course, appearing to retreat. The Council ships followed, pulling away from their original formation. Meanwhile, Alan Ross's shuttle approached the massive Council flagship. Using captured identification codes, they managed to dock in a secondary hangar bay during the confusion of battle. Stay alert, Alan told his team as they exited the shuttle. They wore modified Council armor taken from previous encounters, but the disguise wouldn't fool anyone who looked too closely. They moved through the ship's corridors, following the map Talon had created based on captured Council data. The central communication hub would be heavily guarded, but it was their only chance to upload the virus. Back at Earth Defense Command, Admiral Carter watched the battle unfold according to plan. Council fleet is dividing, reported Kevin Daniels. Their formation is weakening, Carter nodded. Now we wait for Alan's team. On the Council flagship, Alan and his team encountered their first real obstacle, a security checkpoint blocking access to the ship's central section. We need a distraction, Alan whispered to Mira, a Valoran survivor with technical skills. She nodded and accessed a nearby terminal, triggering alarms in a distant part of the ship. As guards rushed to respond, Alan's team slipped past the checkpoint. 2 decks below, Ryan Foster felt the ship shudder from a distant impact. The guards watching him seemed distracted by reports coming through their communication devices. Ryan had spent days working on his restraints, and now they were loose enough for what he needed to do. When one guard approached to check on him, Ryan made his move. A quick strike, a stolen weapon, and suddenly he was free. Ryan had no idea what was happening, but he recognized an opportunity when he saw one. In the central communication hub, Alan's team encountered heavy resistance. 2 of his people fell in the initial exchange of fire, but they managed to secure the room. Hurry, Alan told Mira as she connected Ellen's data core to the main console. We don't have much time. Mira worked quickly, her fingers dancing across the alien interface. Uploading now. It will take approximately 2 minutes to fully integrate with their system. Outside, the battle grew more intense. The Council ships had realized something was wrong and were trying to reform their scattered formation. The Defiance-class warships continued their hit-and-run attacks, drawing enemy ships further out of position. All ships, prepare for Thunderbolt. Activation, Samantha ordered. On my mark. The 6 Earth vessels moved into a precise hexagonal formation, their specialized weapon systems coming online. What the Council didn't know was that these weren't just weapons. They were part of a synchronized energy field designed to exploit weaknesses in Council shield technology. On the flagship, Vexaran received reports of intruders. Find them, he ordered, and prepare our main weapon array. I'm tired of this game. As his officers rushed to obey, the ship's lighting flickered briefly. Then the main tactical display began showing corrupted data. Similar reports came in from other Council vessels. What's happening? Vexaran demanded. Some kind of system error, an officer replied. It's spreading through our network. Vexaran's eyes narrowed. Disconnect from the central communication system, now! But it was too late. The virus had already spread throughout the quantum network, creating cascading errors in ship systems across the Council fleet. In the communication hub, Alan and his remaining team members prepared to retreat. It's done, Mira said. The virus is fully uploaded and spreading. Let's get out of here, Alan replied. As they turned to leave, they found themselves face to face with Ryan Foster and 3 other escaped prisoners. Alan, Ryan said in disbelief. Ryan, we thought you were dead. Nearly was, Ryan replied with a grin. Need a hand getting out of here? With the Council ships in disarray, Captain Samantha Hayes gave the order. Thunderbolt activation in 3, 2, 1, now! The 6 Defiance-class warships fired simultaneously. Instead of conventional weapons, they released synchronized pulses of energy that combined into a massive wave. The wave passed through the Council fleet, interacting with their disrupted shields in exactly the way Ellen and her team had predicted. Ships throughout the Council fleet suddenly lost power to their main weapons and propulsion systems. They didn't explode or break apart. They simply went dark, drifting helplessly in space. It worked, Samantha whispered, hardly believing her eyes. Admiral Carter's voice came through her comm system. All ships, commence counterattack. Target their command vessels first. The Earth fleet surged forward, joined by hidden Valoran vessels that had survived the initial purge. They targeted the disabled Council ships methodically, focusing on engines and weapons rather than destruction. On the Council flagship, Vexaran watched in cold fury as his fleet was systematically disabled. Even his own vessel was operating, at minimal capacity, the virus having corrupted most critical systems. Executor, an officer reported, we're receiving transmissions from the edge of the system. More ships are arriving. For a moment, Vexaran thought reinforcements had come. Then he saw the tactical display. These weren't Council vessels. They were ships from other species, those who had been conquered or forced into hiding by the Council. They had been watching, waiting for a sign of weakness. In the midst of the chaos, Alan's team and Ryan's freed prisoners fought their way back to the shuttle. As they prepared to launch, they encountered Vexaran himself, fleeing with a small guard detail. You, Vexaran said, recognizing Ryan. This is your doing. Not just mine, Ryan replied. You made one big mistake. You thought destroying the Valorans would break us. Instead, it brought us together. Before Vexaran could respond, the ship rocked from a direct hit. Alan pulled Ryan toward the shuttle. We need to go now. They managed to launch just as secondary explosions began tearing through the flagship. As they flew back toward Earth, they watched the Council's mighty fleet being defeated by the combined forces of Earth and its allies. Days later, representatives from a dozen species contacted Earth, requesting an audience. Species that had been hiding from the Council had observed the battle and wanted to join the alliance that had accomplished the impossible. In the grand meeting hall of Earth's government building, President Susan Miller and Valoran Ambassador Shaylara welcomed these representatives. The Valorans had lost their homeworld, but survivors from colonies and those rescued during the war still numbered in the millions. Today we establish a new order, President Miller said, not built on conformity and fear like the councils, but on mutual respect and cooperation. Ambassador Shaylara stepped forward. We will call it the Foundation, a base upon which all our civilizations can build together. As agreements were signed and plans made, Captain Lisa Mitchell, who had first discovered the Valorans, prepared for a new mission. She would lead a diplomatic fleet to meet these new allies and explore regions of space previously controlled by the Council. The Horizon, now upgraded with technology developed during the war, waited in orbit. Lisa stood on its bridge, looking down at Earth. Course laid in, Captain, said her navigator. Lisa nodded, feeling a sense of possibility she hadn't felt since before the war began. Let's go meet our new neighbors. As the Horizon and its escort ships jumped to faster than light speed, they carried with them the hope of a new era, one where diversity was celebrated rather than purged. The Council's power was broken, and in its place, something better would grow. Earth had entered the galactic stage not as conquerors, but as liberators, and the stars themselves seemed brighter for it.